Yeah.
I'm good to go.
All right, Sean, we're here on Steps of War, second match, and we actually did just see Cauthon Luck defeat Orb there on Lost Temple. Pretty, not easily, but it was a pretty one-sided match, I'd like to say. And one thing I want to note is you've watched Orb stream a lot, like you were saying earlier. How does he usually deal with the loss? Is he kind of a emotional player, or does he just kind of shrug it off and go on to the next game?
I think emotional would be a tactful way to put it, yeah. I mean, he does have a tendency to get real mad, especially if he suffers a loss from something really obnoxious or something like that. And, coming into this game one, Cauthon Luck did win pretty handily. And whoops, Cauthon Luck having an idle SCV behind the mineral patch already. Cauthon Luck spawning in the top right as the blue Terran. That happens every now and again. In the bottom left, we have Orb as the red Protoss. But one thing to note is that that's one of those games where you tend to mess up if it's one of your first big tournament matches. I know, for instance, Orb has been streaming a lot of his games, but hasn't been invited to a lot of the major tournaments. This is his first time in one of the bigger events, and it's very easy to be shaken in the first game, and then to sort of reset your mind and buckle down. I mean, things like having his Nexus rallied cross-map, very non-typical of him.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see if he just really started to buckle down and went back to his normal A game.
Now, one of the things I want to note is that Orb right now is idling around 400 APM here in the beginning, and obviously it doesn't mean too much. He's probably just spamming his Nexus and his drones. But do you think that's a little bit of a nervous tick, or is that just kind of something? I don't know if you ever watched his replays, but is that something that he just does normally?
I've never watched too much of his APM. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell in his stream since he doesn't have it blared up on the screen. But, I mean, that's one of those things that a lot of players who feel nervous spam really hard at the start. And I actually think that that's a good thing because it helps expend that extra adrenaline that you get in your system. That was one of the biggest things I struggled with when I first started going to tournaments, that you would get there and you would just be so shaken up because you're playing in front of a bunch of people and it's an important match. That if you tried to buckle down, just play calmly, play normally, your hands would be so shaky that you'd be misclicking a lot. So I do like the spamming quite a bit early on to deal with that.
All right, going back over to Cauthon Luck's base, we do see a little bit of an earlier gas there. We do see him doing that pretty standard build that we saw last game with that Marine being spawned now. And going back into Orb's base, we do see him doing the pretty much same build as well. Cauthon Luck is getting a little bit of information there with that SCV as he micros it around in his base. And going back to Orb, he's just getting the same amount. He's actually getting chased out. And one thing to note is that Cauthon did actually wait to put down that tech lab on that rack. So Orb has not seen that yet, but he is getting a little bit of sneaky here and hiding that probe there behind the mineral line of his natural expansion. So we might possibly see a pylon go down here. If you look back on the cybernetics core as soon as it spawns, it might be researching warp gate really, really quickly. We do see another assimilator going down. We do see that warp gate research being chrono boosted as well right now. So we might be seeing a little bit of a proxy strategy right here.
One of the strongest openings lately in Protoss vs. Terran is to just rush for 4 warp gates and just barrel down your opponent's front. So easy to execute and so unbelievably potent. But it's most strong when the Terran opponent's going for something a little bit more economically focused, an early expansion, teching, something like that. But we do see Cauthon Luck. There were just little subtle hints that he was doing something a little more aggressive. He got his barracks a little bit earlier. Instead of the typical orbital command on 15, it was an orbital command on 14 because that barracks came out a little bit earlier. If you are incredibly perceptive and know the timings of your play in and out, you can pick up on that sort of thing. But Orb, even so, it probably wouldn't affect his play that much, but look at this. This Reaper coming in is going to take Orb completely by surprise. Here it comes. 3 shots to kill a probe. There's 1, 2, 3. We almost didn't get that probe. Looks like he's going to be able to get 2 probes now. This sort of loss, 2, 3, 4 probes, pretty typical, but you want to try to minimize that as much as possible. And when the sentry comes out, that might be all she wrote.
Right.
And a Marauder coming in as well.
One of the things actually to note is that a couple of one probe was killed on his assimilator there on the right gas. So it'll be interesting to see if Orb actually caught that and he ends up putting back 3 probes on it, so that's one thing to note as well, because we will fall a little bit behind there in the gas. But going back over here, this Reaper and Marauder almost killing that sentry there, as Orb kind of had to back up and wait for those 2 Stalkers to come out. But now he's easily going to push back, and now we do see a pylon behind the mineral line of the natural expansion of Cauthon Luck. And the warp gates are finished. They are being warped in now. 3 warp gates. I think you're going to start seeing a little bit more aggression from Orb. As soon as those warp gates finish, and a little bit of bigger force is there spawning now in his base, and he's going to start pushing toward Cauthon Luck. There he goes, actually, right now. I was going to say a little bit, but
hallucination as well. Oh, that is a very unorthodox technique. Many Protosses have been recently experimenting with that, but primarily on the Asia servers. Very little of that going on the American servers, but again, Orb, well known for loving the use of those sentries. I was surprised, though, by his passivity when dealing with that early Reaper and Marauder, especially one Marauder almost suicided up the ramp. Orb got a few shots off, but then he backed off. I don't get that. I mean, he definitely should have chased that thing down and sniped it. We do see, I mean, very, very aggressive composition coming from Cauthon Luck. I guess I would call this the one punch. I'm going to make a bunch of barracks, I'm going to try to attack him and win. If it doesn't work, then good game, Looks like Orb has put 1 extra guy in gas, but still has 2 guys in the bottom. Guys are very much so a mistake. Sometimes players pull guys out, but in this case, he wants those sentries, he wants all the tech up, and from watching his stream, he has done this every now and again on accident.
Twilight Council did finish a little bit ago, and he hasn't started researching anything on it. That hallucination is going to end up finishing right now, so he has about 4 sentries there. A little bit low on the energy count right now, though, as hallucination actually does not cost any energy. Excuse me. I guess it's a one-time use for each of the sentries there. We do see that Templar Archives now start building there behind the mineral line. Going back over to Cauthon Luck, he is getting that stim pack upgrade as well as that concussive shells. Pretty standard play from Cauthon Luck now, actually, looking back. But now we do see a Phoenix actually being hallucinated, getting a little bit of a kind of a tech fake here from Cauthon, but I think he's not worried about it. He's just kind of letting it fly around. He knows that that's probably a hallucination. He just decides, hey, I'm going to send all my forces at you if you're going to throw a hallucination at me.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if he started to go, oh my god, he actually went Phoenixes? I mean, we do see hallucinations being used quite a bit for the Phoenix Scout, but, I hope he doesn't see it run out here. Look, Orb's so smart moving that Phoenix away so it dies out of vision range, but this is going to be devastating if Orb can cut Cauthon Luck's army in half. He scans. There's that storm coming up right now. Looks like he's going to try to run in with the Reaper, get a little bit of info, because he's probably thinking, wait a minute, does this guy really think he can go 4 warp gates and get a starport up? This huge, big, aggressive push by Cauthon Luck, once again, is kind of an all-in push.
We do see Orb's Nexus now sitting at about 67 energy. Wondering why, okay, now he's going to start using it on that Templar Archives. He's trying to get that Psystorm down. We do see that Reaper actually sneak by. He's going to be starting to get a little bit of a probes. Actually, it looks like he's going to be... Okay, there we go. Now he's going to start getting a little bit more probes. He's up with 5 kills now, 3 earlier. Going back, we do see a ramp fight now. We do see a pretty good energy shield, or force field, and we do... see Orb try to take out a little bit of those Marauders. Pretty nice around there from the Zealots, but they're just getting chewed up by those Marauders.
Oh my god, what a beautiful force field right there. But Orb leaving some of his units behind, not getting him involved in the fights, but still doesn't even matter. That beautiful use of sentries. Looks like Orb's going to be able to hold it off relatively easily, but that not without a few losses. Oh, look at another unbelievable force field doing some serious damage. Looks like he doesn't quite have the High Templars that he wanted out, getting some more of his trademark sentries. But the one big danger is the fact that that Reaper killed off a lot of probes, up in the double-digit probe kill count in the back of his base. One of those nice little moves. Again, Cauthon Luck loves these huge pushes, plus a dash of harassment to really seal the deal as the game goes on.
It looks like Cauthon Luck's going to be throwing down a natural expansion here pretty soon as he has an SCV sitting there. Maybe. Okay, now it looks... Maybe. Oh, there we go. Thank you for making me look somewhat smart. But we do see some High Templars now warping in. Actually, only one is going to build up 75 energy. And Psystorm was actually nerfed here. I think it was in patch 7, actually. Made a little bit smaller radius. And Orb was actually kind of whining about that last night as I was watching him play. But it looks like he does know it's needed. And we do see a fight actually about to start here. We do see Stim Pack being used from Cauthon Luck as he kind of kites back, getting a little bit extra hits on those Zealots, and we do see him try to... Oh, wow! Beautiful force field.
What a huge force field. Another huge storm.
Storm on the back. Wow. Just some impressive play there with those sentries from Orb.
That was a phenomenal job by Orb. And Orb didn't really lose all that much. Sure, he got a few shots from the Zealots, but that's why sentries are such an integral component of a good Terran Let me try it again. That's why sentries are such an integral component of a good Protoss army composition. They can cut off so many units from the retreat path. We do see a hallucinated Colossus. Trying to put a little bit of fear in the heart. But important thing to notice, Cauthon Luck does have good micromanagement. Probably will rush up and try to kill off that Colossus. Here comes the big push, and those two barracks are not done. Dashing right in here. We have a stim going down. We have another some good micro going on right now. But it looks like he is not falling for the Colossus trick, or he just thinks he does not have enough time to kill it off, just trying to snipe off the units in the back. So it looks like Orb pulling back and doing a very safe expansion as the producer disconnects.
Nope, he's good. Don't scare me like that. He was just lagging a little bit. Hopefully, he's still there. He actually did not have internet last week, so there were some audio or some sync issues there in the audio last week. But looks like he is okay now. We do see 2 ghosts for Cauthon, which are going to be letting him use those EMP rounds, knocking out the shields of all the Protoss units, and also lowering the energy of those High Templars and Sentries, which is a really, really good thing to have. And if Cauthon can actually hit those in the group fights, it's really going to turn the tides for him. But going back over to Orb Space, we do see him getting up his natural expansion, getting a couple pylons there to help warp things in. And Cauthon right now, I would say, is a little bit ahead in the economy, but I think Orb's going to be able to catch up here as soon as that natural expansion gets finished.
Yeah, nice, good army composition by Orb. He's getting more sentries to make sure he can get that good wall off there. He only has 2 High Templar, though. And, I mean, again, look at him getting that double gas at his expansion very, very quickly. He's getting a robotics facility now, trying to do a little bit of scouting. And if you go up to this unit counting menu, they're actually pretty close in the worker count. I actually was surprised to see that. I mean, the 3 mules that are out right now for Cauthon Luck are obviously going to help a little bit. But overall, Cauthon Luck devoted so much to that early push that it's pretty even. It's almost like both players getting as much as they can off one base, and then when they run out of units, they each get another base and try to see what they can do with that. So, yeah, I mean, at this stage in the game, really, really close. And Cauthon Luck just continuing to try to barrel down with nothing but infantry units.
We do see Orb throw down a robotics facility, kind of going up the other tech tree for toss there. He's also researched charge for his zealots, which are going to allow them to get on top of those marauders a little bit quicker and not be slowed down so much. Cauthon sitting in a scouter SCV there, kind of just checking to see what his opponent is. Hopefully he didn't see this probe going up towards the high yield, although I think Orb is just making sure that Cauthon doesn't have that himself. So he's just going to go up there and get hold of that Xel'Naga watchtower, giving him a little bit more of a scouting position. And now going back to Orb's base, we do see him putting in a warp prism. Interested to see what he's going to be doing with that warp prism. Maybe a little storm drop on the expansion. We'll have to see what he decides to do with that.
One thing that I love so much about the way that Orb is playing is that it is just so crisp compared to last game. I mean, actually, I shouldn't even say compared to last game. Just in general, his play is very crisp. Look, moving these probes up here to the Xel'Naga watchtowers. I mean, he is keeping his money low. He's playing very, very well. He's getting a little bit of supply block. Oh, never mind. Look at that. Pylon finished right on time. Oh, another pylon finished right on time. Beautiful job. Looks like we have a warp prism drop coming up there as well. Hopefully it doesn't fly over this Marauder. Oh, look at that. Nice reaction time by Orb. But I mean, every little thing that Orb was doing this game has been phenomenal. Moving that Phoenix away to make sure that it died out of sight range so that he didn't realize it was a hallucination. A lot of great, great, great stuff being done by Orb this game. You can really tell that despite being flustered in game one, he's really coming back strong.
Yeah, one thing to note is that Cauthon Luck's Marauder there that killed that probe over at the left Xel'Naga watchtower did actually hold that watchtower for a second, and hopefully he did see that warp prism there kind of off in the distance. But we do see a missile turret now, the natural expansion. We're going to see Orb try to get in here and storm drop. He needs to get those things dropped relatively soon. Wow, great storm. They're going to get 6 kills, 7 kills. 7 kills.
Oh, he still has enough for Storm.
And he decides to merge it into an Archon for some reason. He probably could have got another Storm off and possibly hurt those forces a little bit of Cauthon Lux. He just has a ton of Marauders right now and only 1 medevac, so it's going to be a while before most of those Marauders get back to full HP. Going back into Orb Space, we just see this huge force of Zealots and 1 Immortal actually and a couple High Templars. So right now I think it's pretty even. When we do see Cauthon moving into the center of the map with a couple Ghosts inside of his unit composition as well. So I think we're going to be seeing a fight here as we see a scan on top of Orb's units. Right now he's going to be coming up the ramp. We do see an Observer going right on top of Cauthon Lux, and Cauthon Lux is going to decide to charge. We're going to see a stim here relatively soon. Hopefully, wow, you see a ton of Zealots charge in.
Oh my goodness.
Him pop those Guardian Shields of the Zealots, or of the Sentries.
So watch the EMP on the... every Templar EMP'd. But 1 still has it. So he gets a great storm off, trying to continue to kite all of those guys, but it looks like trying to morph him in. Oh, half of Orb's units went the wrong direction, but that's okay. He's coming right back in here. The Ghost Cloak looks like he is trying to retreat right now, but those ghosts are out of energy. And look at the Marauders' health. They are all so deep in the red. One shot from like anything will take all of them out.
You mean like a storm? Because that's what just happened, man. He just killed so many of those Marauders with that storm there, fusing 2 of them into an Archon. He does have that Templar research there at the Templar Archives that allows them to spawn with 75 energy so they can storm instantly. But really, that last fight, Cauthon Luck deciding to cloak those 3 ghosts there right inside, moving them to the back end of Orb's forces to EMP 5 or 6 Templar. That was just a really, really smart play by Cauthon Luck.
Yeah, still nail-bitingly close. Look at this. 79 food versus 76 food. It's the same thing. It's like two guys just like punching each other for hours and neither of them giving up, you know? It's like dead even. Like, here it comes. Like, here comes another big attack, another beautiful storm. But here, I'm starting to think the Orb's getting more and more and more of the advantage. Once those Colossi start coming in, he really has the infantry-killing tech tree. Getting in those long-range Colossus with the storms, having the speed upgrade for those Zealots. He doesn't quite have range yet for the Colossus. There, it just finished. Now that's going to give him a big advantage pushing, but he needs to be very careful. He needs to start pulling back, or else he's going to lose this Colossus for nothing.
Yeah, looking at Orb's economy right now, he actually only has 1 mineral line that he's mining from, so we need to see an expansion. We do have a probe over here at the southern high yield. Hopefully he's going to be putting up a nexus there, but going back into the center, we do see all of Orb's forces fall. If we do see some impressive kiting here, you might, nope, they're actually going to take down that Colossus pretty easily, and now both players are just kind of like, I guess, worn out from that last fight, those several skirmishes, and we do go back to see Orb spawning a couple 2 High Templar, 2 Zealots, and a Colossus at his base. Going back over to Cauthon Lux, we do see him just stick with that Marauder army and 1 lone ghost there as it's about to reach 75 energy beats to fire off those EMPs, which is really going to do a lot of damage to Orb. But it looks like Orb is kind of sitting, wow, is he going to take that expansion? I guess he was just scouting to see what Cauthon Lux has with that probe. He needs to get an expansion down here relatively soon. It looks like he's going to be taking out these destructible rocks there to the northwest, as I can't even remember my cardinal directions. But
the up left.
Yeah, the up left. Yeah, as the gamer that I am, that's how I would say it. But we see a huge force of Marauders from Cauthon, and if he ends up pushing relatively soon, I think he might be able to kind of just push over Orb right here.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, Orb's macro that's been pristine all game long sort of fell apart, and he's now adding on more gateways than he can actually support. Now he's going up this ramp. Looks like he's setting up for an expansion, but it might be the wrong time to do so. We see a big Marauder Ghost army position there. Here comes Orb with a probe trying to scout up there. Oh, he does throw down the expansion, and here comes Orb getting really bold with these units moving down there. He's trying to dart in. Okay, good control, pulling right back. Looks like he's waiting for that second Colossus to come out. He's getting yet another Observer, and really needs to start making a ton of those gateway units. He is absolutely up against the wall right now in terms of unit count there. Now we're starting to get a lot more Templar out there, so we can actually spam enough storms to stay alive, but super thin defense right now for Orb. He was, even after that first big fight, and has only gained 20 food since then.
Yeah, going back over to Cauthon Lux's base, he's also going to be on 1 base here pretty soon for his economy, as he needs to put down an expansion of his own. And we do see a pretty nifty pylon there at the, as I forget, the east. Thank you, I almost forgot him again. The east expansion.
Very, very right.
We do see a pylon there blocking the centermost area where you would drop down that command center. But Cauthon is just going to keep massing these Marauders in the center of the map. His Orb is kind of scouting around with that Observer. He understands that, oh, okay, now we do see Cauthon decide to push forward, and Orb's a little bit out of... Wow, a really good storm there and some support from the Colossus. Looks like, wow, another decent storm as we see a stem pack being used. Oh, and then those EMPs again, 3 ghosts as they are cloaked. They're getting a great EMP off on all those High Templar, and Orb's going to have to retreat. He spawns in 3 more High Templar. He actually could take out a lot of those Marauders if he gets some decent storm, but it looked like Cauthon pushed up a little bit too much there for those storms to actually hit them. But all those Marauders are really low right now, but I think Orb is kind of understanding that he's going to lose this as he sends... okay, those are just all the probes rallying back to the nearest Nexus. He's going to be chrono boosting all of his warp gates, so I don't think he's giving up quite yet. But, I mean, there's just so many Marauders right now from Cauthon Luck inside the main of Orb.
Yeah, he clearly realizes how low the health is on these Marauders. Look at him, just so many kills on that Colossus and that High Templar already, trying to kite this Colossus, but it's probably not going to be enough, despite having red health on pretty much every single one of those Marauders. I mean, Orb is still well aware of this, but there's just not that much he can do about it at this stage. He barely has two probes getting ready to mine that top left expansion. So it looks like Cauthon Luck was barely able to pull this win out.
Yeah, we see Orb still in the game. He looks like he's rallying these. He's asking that he can't understand how Cauthon had such a big force, and he never saw an extra expansion from Cauthon that entire game. So he's wondering where he got all this macro from, really. And he's just saying GG there. He knows he's lost. He's just trying to get a little bit extra information and get inside of Cauthon Luck's mind.
Yeah, I mean, completely understand where Orb's coming from. I mean, I don't think he realized quite how incredibly close that last battle was. Yeah, look, good game. I mean, that game was nail-biting from start to finish. It just seemed after that first battle, Orb added on just a few too many gateways. I think if he stuck with 4 gateways, continued to produce units out of those, Zealots, High Templar, and then eventually got those Colossi, that he would have been in great shape. But didn't quite end up working out for him. But I really think that he should take the opportunity between these games to just review that replay and realize, wow, yeah, I was really close to winning that game. That was one of the closest games I've seen in a long time.
All right, so we will be back with our third map on Desert Oasis, and that last match was really action-packed, so I'm looking forward to this next match. It's kind of a unorthodox map, and hopefully see some unique strategies from both of these players. So we'll be right back with our third match on Desert Oasis.